Welcome back, W Bills, and we'll be in Baltimore on Sunday for a Week 1 kick. And don't look now, we got 4 days of rest and off to Cincinnati next week. This guy has been watching bad football for a long time. He is the AP sports writer up in Buffalo, New York, and Western New York, where he's watched some bad hockey as well with the Sabres lately. Here's John Wawrow. You can follow him out on Twitter at John_Wawrow. That's WAWROW. He's also the Bills insider at the AP on our website at WNST.net with our stats relationship. Always good to have you on, John. First off, how's the rock and roll life? You listen to anything beside the replacements lately?
Well, I've been getting into some Nikki Lane, and she's got this great, cool song called Jackpot, which kind of impressed me. But otherwise, it's football season, and that's really about where we're at. It's and the Sabres are going to get geared up starting this weekend with a rookie tournament, so things are getting busy.
I like when you give me a music tip. I've already Googled Nikki Lane, American singer. I see she's out already. It's good. This is how I stay fresh with guys like you that listen to the stuff that I listened to 30 years ago to say, what are you listening to now? So that's all good.
Indeed.
I know we're all watching now, which is the beginning of a season where there's hope. I mean, the Cleveland Browns, I've been watching them for a month on Hard Knocks. They have hope. Certainly here in Baltimore, we feel better about our football team than we did a month ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, just on where they've been on the field, the health, all of that. Where are you with the Bills? Because making the playoffs and Tyrod Taylor and watching him run around with the Browns and trying to figure out what they're doing, and here comes Nathan Peterman this week, and I'm thinking to myself, this is what you did the offseason for Buffalo.
This is, making the playoffs last year was a surprise, and it took some of the pressure off the Bills' new front office in many ways. This was part of their plan. They were going to go after a quarterback in the draft already in April, and this was going to be a transitional year after they made a whole bunch of changes last year when Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott took over. The plan still was to make more changes to both the roster and the culture that's been a losing one for so long now. So the expectations aren't that big here in Buffalo, given the fact that, Nathan Peterman is starting and he's, Josh Allen is waiting in the wings, awaiting time to develop. And they've got, as much as this was going to be a transitional year, they were counting on Richie Incognito and Eric Wood to be back to anchor the offensive line. And that, their offseason departures, one forced, one, Eric Wood, was diagnosed with a career-ending neck injury, and then Incognito forced his release. That's really set the team back.
Well, there's been a lot of drama, right? I mean, from the get-go, part of this ownership with the Pagulas and changing coaches and changing personnel people and trying to figure out who to draft and who's their quarterback and the McCarron thing this week. It all has a little bizarreness behind it. I am wondering aloud about the ownership there, whether it's going to happen, but it certainly feels like when you're starting Nathan Peterman in Week 1 in Baltimore and you've got your number one it feels to me like this is a season of transition that they're promising out, which says to me that the coach and the general manager, as you pointed out, feel pretty good about themselves to be starting Nathan Peterman instead of sort of going forward with the rookie quarterback here in the early going.
At this point, there's no reason to rush Josh Allen. He's shown a capability of being a strong-armed, nimble quarterback for a guy his size, 6'5", 240 pounds, but there's still some issues. He still needs his footwork, still needs a little bit of correction, and there was a hesitancy that he showed when he got his start against the Bengals in the Bills' third preseason game. That said, he played behind a very patchwork offensive line, and the sense is that he still needs to catch up to the pace of the game, especially after playing against a pretty good Bengals defensive front. So there's no point in rushing him. The thought process in Buffalo is that let Nathan Peterman provides the Bills the best opportunity to win. Mind you, everybody remembers his 5 interceptions in the first half against the Chargers last November in his first start. that's somewhat unfair.
Well, that sticks to a guy, right? I mean, that's what happens when you play a guy when he's not ready to play, and I don't think they wanted that guy to be Josh Allen week 1 in Baltimore, going 12 for 29 with 4 picks and losing 38-13, right?
Right, and that's the thing, and to Nathan Peterman's credit, he has been the best quarterback, the most consistent quarterback this offseason long. Through preseason, what we saw, during the spring workouts. So he's earned this job, but it's Josh Allen's job to take over once he's deemed ready. Did you expect McCarron to be the guy starting in week 1? I sort of did, and I'm sort of shocked that they went this direction. I really I am, and maybe it speaks to Nathan Peterman, and hey, maybe the Ravens are losing 20-14 in the fourth quarter on Sunday, and we'll all get the shock of the century here, but certainly what happened to that kid last year sticks to him, and the fact that he has come back and is their starter this week, the organization's counting on him. Now, I don't know whether you really believe he's going to win 3, 5, 6, 8 games in the National Football League this year or any other year. And I think everybody I've talked to in Buffalo this week, I said, believes that he will not be the quarterback this year, that by the end of the year, that Allen will be the guy, that this is a temporary thing for them. Yeah, that is the expectation, and I'm not sure how many quarterbacks, veteran, experienced, or not experienced, can win a lot of games with this offense the way it stands right now. There is no proven receiver behind Kelvin Benjamin. They're introducing a new offense under Brian Dable. It's going to be more of a quick passing offense, which is actually good for the for quarterbacks behind a patchwork offensive line, but they still have to learn it. And then you've got the line, and LaShawn McCoy isn't getting any younger. He's looked really good from what we saw at training camp, but they've been holding him out to make sure he's ready for the start of the season. So right now, LaShawn McCoy is your best option on offense, and it's going to take you're going to see defenses stacking up the front as they've done before until the Bills can prove they've got a passing game.
John Wawrow is our guest from the Associated Press up in Buffalo, Western New York, covering all things sports in the Buffalo area. Also, his work appears at WNST.net. You can find him out on Twitter as well at John_Wawrow. That's WAWROW. All of our WNST coverage brought to you by our friends at the Boathouse in Canton, offering indoor and outdoor waterfront dining. Now in full swing there as we get into September and fall, with football games on, offering a delicious array of just off the grill specialties. The Dock Bar is there and dog-friendly as well. Ship happens at the Boathouse in Canton, one of our newest sponsors. Also, the Modell Lyric. Check out the website at modell-lyric.com. John Cusack bringing in a screening of Say Anything next week. That's on the 15th. Also, Steely Dan, one of my all-time favorites, coming in for my 50th birthday, October 11th, as well as Kansas. And I had an interview with Kansas violinist David Ragsdale up in the BuyAToyota.com audio vault. You can go listen to that as well. Also, the beautiful flowers around me, the Maryland flower for the victory over Texas, as well as the Bills to my right, behind me, your left, as well as the Ravens flower, all brought to you by Sporticulture. That's Sporticulture out online, Sporticulture.com. They're a local company. They ship these flowers anywhere you want to ship them, one click away. Made my wife happy to have flowers delivered. I'm sure it'll make your wife happy as well, or the football friend in your life. Send us some flowers from Sporticulture. They will be on display on our Facebook Live and our YouTube WNSTV set all season long. John Wawrow's up in Buffalo, bringing the Bills down here. I guess with Peterman starting, you don't have to worry about the ball going over your head, or so the saying goes, right?
Well, he's worked on his arm strength in the off season. He's not Josh Allen, but he can be, he can be. He's very efficient and quick with his release. And that said, the Bills are trying to stretch the field with some of the from what we saw in the preseason. Whether they're capable of whether these receivers are capable of getting separation is another question. He's got a more than capable arm, and it's just a matter of seeing what he's learned over the offseason and how he's matured and developed from what happened against the Chargers last year. And mind you, remember, after the Bills play Baltimore, the Bills host the Chargers, so Peterman gets to face the Chargers will get a chance to face the Chargers for a second time.
Well, one of the problems for the Bills last year was getting after the quarterback, right? And a lot of teams have that problem. The Ravens have gone through that as to who's going to replace Terrell Suggs, who's going to be an accomplice for Terrell Suggs. And I saw that Doomerville officially retired the other day as well. But getting after the quarterback on both sides is going to be a factor in this game. Otherwise, Flacco's going to be picking them apart. I've always been impressed by the front seven there, back when Pettin had a hold of them, as well as Schwartz, and then the Rex Ryan era came in. But a lot of those guys either gone or long in the tooth through the years, right?
Well, and they made efforts to upgrade the defense. They drafted Tremaine Edmonds out of Virginia Tech seems to be the forgotten draft pick because he was picked behind Allen, but he was picked in the first round, and he's going to be starting at middle linebacker. He's big, fast, rangy, but at 20, he just turned 20 in May, so he's going to be he's going to be learning through experience. So there's going to be some mistakes there. The Bills did add Trent Murphy at defensive end in free agency. He played in Washington. Everybody remembers him from his Washington days. He missed all of last season with a terrible injury. He's been hampered by a groin injury through training camp, but I talked to him yesterday, and he should be ready. Shaq Lawson looks like he is ready to step up and actually start playing up to the first-round pick potential when he was selected in 2016. And Kyle Williams is questionable, the veteran defensive tackle. He banged up his right knee against Cleveland a couple of weeks back. The defense is still a work in progress, and one of the bigger question marks is who is going to be lining up opposite Tre'Davious White at cornerback. The Bills signed Vontae Davis in the offseason, but he has shown signs of age and struggling throughout the preseason, and that job seems to be open.
Is that Teron Johnson, correct? I mean, I've heard a little bit about him this week as well as to who's going to run around. Hey, the Ravens have all new wide receivers, Flacco, and much like every other team in the league, John, this week, nobody has put their starters out even for a play or two or three in most cases. Almost every team has some veteran, some guy coming back from an injury that the first time they're going to come out, from behind the curtain is going to be this week. That's for both sides of the ball on virtually all 32 teams.
Right, and whoever I expect the Ravens or any opponent to start picking on the cornerback who's opposite Tre'Davious White, because that spot is unproven. The Bills have two very good safeties in Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, but I see that the number two cornerback as being right now a question mark, and the Bills still need to prove that they can stop the run, and this is where Tremaine Edmonds, as a rookie, is going to have his struggles. So, Alex Collins is projected to have a pretty good day against a defense that hasn't proved it can stop the run consistently.
What are your expectations for the Bills this year? To get this quarterback on the field, maybe looking better in the second half in some sort of Garoppolo way? Because I don't think I haven't talked to anybody that thinks the Bills are going to win 8 games this year.
I can't see it after what happened last year, though. I didn't see them making the playoffs last year either. I'm not going to rule anything out, but if I was a betting man, I've got them at around six wins, and that might be the max at this point. The focus all off season and going into the season and through the season is when is Josh Allen going to start? And how long is it going to take for him to look like an actual bona fide quarterback?
Well, I think the other part of this is washing the Rex Ryan era away, right? Like, all of that part of it started to go away. You get a taste of playoffs, and now you get the new sheriff in town saying we're going to do it my way with a new quarterback, and it's sort of a restart after a year of a start where there is some patience going on there. There's not a lot of that in a lot of places, but I think when you draft a franchise quarterback and you just made the playoffs, I guess it's sort of quelled the insurrection that the Pagulas found up there in a decade and a half of not making the playoffs.
Well, there is a sense around town, and from the moves that Brandon Beane has made and how Sean McDermott has coached, or at least coached this team up, that the Bills are in a far better position than they have been for a long time with this tandem that seem to be on the same, that are most definitely on the same page as far as vision, patience, and how to build a team. So they're working hand in hand with their plan, and trying to put a young core together, which we're starting to see develop. Mind you, a lot of it is going to depend on Josh Allen if he's the right guy to fill that spot. In which the Bills can be poised to be a regular contender in years to come, and this is the year I think they take that step back because they need to because of all the question marks.
John Wawrow is our guest. You can find him out on the Associated Press and at WNST.net. All of our WNST coverage brought to you by our friends at Royal Farms. Real fresh, real fast. Reminder to everyone, if you're not using the app and you got the ROFO Rewards card, you can keep in your wallet as well. When you're pumping gas, you're missing that. You can be getting the ROFO chicken as well as the Western fries free of charge, as well as some free coffee with the Kona blend at Royal Farms. Also brought to you by our friends at Costas Inn. Good enough for the Today Show. My mom, the fat crabs, the cold beer. I'm getting down there this week. I promise. The legend continues. Probably going to watch some playoff baseball down. That's a little bit of a tradition for me to go down to Costas, watch baseball, and crack some crabs next month. The Orioles have left me high and dry on that. John Wawrow is also a rock and roll fan and a Replacements fan. Can I ask you just honestly, blatantly here, from one Baltimorean to a Buffalonian, are the Goo Goo Dolls properly celebrated as they should be in Buffalo and 10,000 Maniacs and a variety of other Western New York musician sensations? But I always think of the Goo Goo Dolls, and I think they should be sort of royalty in Buffalo.
Well, Robbie Kakach, the bass player for the Goo Goo Dolls, maintains a big presence here in Buffalo. And in fact, he's got a studio here, and he's producing the Beach Slang's latest album. And they're also putting together, he has an annual event called, it's just escaped me, but it's a big music festival that they're having this weekend. And Beach Slang is going to be in town, playing downtown. You also have, Annie DeFranco. People seem to overlook her, but she's from Buffalo now, but she's got a studio and a concert space in which she converted a church on downtown on Delaware Avenue, and it's a great venue. I saw. Oh wow!
We're all getting old.
Sorry.
We're all getting old, John.
Kind of stumped me. Jenny Lewis. I saw Jenny Lewis about a month ago there, and it's a fantastic venue to see a show. So, but to answer your question, the Goos are somewhat celebrated for their older stuff, and they're not as much celebrated for the newer stuff because they were considered a bit of a sellout at that point.
Oh, come on, man. You always sell out when you know. By the way, I have the DVD of them playing in the rain on the 4th of July show. Phenomenal DVD. Sure. If anybody has seen that, go check it out with the Goo Goo Dolls. I can't think of Buffalo without thinking of the Anchor Bar, and you bring me some beef on weck in here when the Bills come in, and I think of the Goo Goo Dolls. I've always had fun up there, and always pass and throw my way to Niagara Falls and North Tonawanda and all that good stuff. John, it's a pleasure to have you on. I will bother you during Sabres season. I'm still celebrating the Caps' victory around here. It felt really good after 45 years of struggling with the Caps to finally win a Stanley Cup. So at least on the hockey side, I'm good for life. I'm set for forever. I can die in peace now,
There you go.
Be well.
Thanks for Alex.
Oh, well, yeah, it always helps to have the best player, but, the best player doesn't always win, as you found out with the Bills many years ago as well. So,
indeed.
John, a pleasure, man. Be well. Keep listening to the Replacements. We'll stay in touch.
Thanks, Nestor.
John Wawrow joining us here from the Associated Press and the AP. You can find him, John_Wawrow. That's WAWROW, also at the front of WNST.net. I am Nestor. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, everywhere the World Wide Web goes in the buyatoyota.com audio vault. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.